BarbaraAnn, and welcome to the Hearts Afire Podcast. In a few days, we will come together with our loved ones to celebrate Christmas, the birth of Jesus Christ, then say goodbye to 2021. And for our final episode of the year in Season 2, we are joined by Sister BarbaraAnn Sgro to reflect on these topics. Before we get to our discussion, I'd like to remind you that whether you're watching this episode live or listening to it on a podcast, make sure to never miss an episode by clicking the subscribe button now. We appreciate your support of the Hearts of Fire podcast. Now on to today's discussion with our guest, Sister BarbaraAnn. For those of you who don't know her, Sister BarbaraAnn is the coordinator of pastoral and deaf services for the Hudson Valley Catholic Deaf Center. Welcome, Sister BarbaraAnn, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Katie. Good morning.
So, Sister BarbaraAnn, it's great to see you, and let's dive right into it. As Advent concludes, please share with our listeners what the Advent season has meant to you this year.
Well, I think for the Advent season, it's a chance for us to kind of take that pause that we need in our lives. There's always, an opportunity to dive into what's happening around us, especially during, the preparation for Christmas. People are out there, they're shopping, they're doing all these kinds of things, but our preparation is a different kind of preparation. And we're asked, not to leave the world. I mean, now we're saying, let's not be all by ourselves and not get involved in what's happening, but to look at what the priority is for us in Advent and how to reorder, what we're paying attention to in Advent. And for myself, as a pastoral minister with a deaf and hard of hearing, I have the opportunity to work with children. And for me, that always energizes me to work with them on preparing for Christmas because it calls me to become more interiorly deep for myself, and looking at the kinds of questions and to see that spirit of waiting to join in with the people from the past who were waiting for so many years, and our waiting is a different kind of waiting because yes, we are going to celebrate Christmas, the birth of Christ, the remembrance of that first coming, but we are constantly in preparation for the second coming of Christ. And so we're constantly waiting. And so even though we structure a time for Advent, this Advent is something actually that continues throughout our lives.
That's wonderful. And I couldn't agree with you more. And, Christmas being in a few days, what are you looking forward to most about it?
Well, certainly, I'm looking forward to being with my family, but I think also this sense of light, that during Advent focuses on the coming of light. During Advent time, we have the winter solstice, we have the coming of light, but yet there's still some darkness that exists in the church. The tone is down, it's different, we don't pray the Gloria. And, all of a sudden on Christmas Day, we burst into these beautiful words of the Gloria and the Christmas songs. And somehow that really inspires me to really think about God with us, that God never leaves us. God is with us. I kind of tell the kids when I work with them that God is like crazy glue. Once God sticks to you, you can't take it apart. And so it's that sense of joy. It's that sense of really, understanding the depth of God's love for us, that God would enter this messy world, which continues to be messy, and God continues to enter this world with us, every day. And for me, that's the beauty of Christmas.
I couldn't agree with you more on that. And, definitely looking forward to being with family as well. And that's a unique way to look at it. And, how has 2021 been for you in your ministry? And what are your hopes for your ministry in 2022?
Well, if we go back really to 2020, there was a lot, of things. I want to skip back a year, because that was really like a tough year for us, because working, and companioning people who are deaf and hard of hearing, those face-to-face interactions are so important. Even though we have the technology to replace it, it's not the same. You don't see the full body movement. You don't have those same experiences of socializing together, of praying together. And so when 2020 cut that off, we had to like rethink some new ways to come together. And then in 2021, it started to come back more slowly, but people were starting to come back to church. Not a lot of people, but they were starting to do it, and they were freeing up their fears, of what was happening. And as a department, apostolate department, we started working on a new mission and vision statement so that we could enter into a process, of strategic planning so that we could look at what now is different. What are the technologies we need to jump into? How do we reach out to other people? So that's the excitement for me that's going to be coming up in 2022, is that we have to learn from our past, but not repeat the mistakes of our past to help us inform our future. And so the excitement to me is that there will be new ways to reach out to people, that, the think tank will be bigger and greater, and that people will really find new experiences to help them get in touch with their own spirituality, because that's what it's all about, offering, those opportunities for people to get more deeply in touch with their own spirituality and with God with them.
And you do such a great job with it. And, I've seen you in action at your ministry, and I know that's why everybody loves you there. You do such a great job. And Sister BarbaraAnn, final question for today. As we say goodbye to 2021, do you have a message of hope for people in the new year? If so, please share it with our listeners.
Again, hope to me, we create structures for ourselves. We always have these, what am I going to do in the new year? What are my plans for the new year? And I'm thinking to myself, what I should be doing in the new year, or what I planned for in the new year, is really what I should be doing now. So, we make, resolutions, but those really resolutions, are really lifetime resolutions. They're things that, help us advance, ourselves in our relationship with God and who we are. And so for me, that's the hope. Like, hope is never going to end. There's so many experiences of sadness in the world. I mean, this morning I just heard that last evening there was a terrible accident. A young person, was killed in this terrible accident. We have to have the hope that not, why God, but how? How is God in this with us? And how is God partnering with us, through our trials? And to me, that's the message of hope for the new year, that maybe through the experiences that we've gone through in Advent of reordering our lives and looking more deeply for God, in our lives, let's use that. That's the hope, of the new year, that we will have a deeper sense of how God is with us in the good times, in the times that are struggles for us. And that, maybe we'll be surprised that we're going to find God where we think, God is gone and God is non-existent. But I think we have to hold on to that hope. We've had hope from the beginning of time. Our ancestors in faith had hope through the many trials that they were involved in. And so that hope to me is so important, that's what keeps us going. That's what keeps us connected to God.
That's beautiful. And I really enjoyed speaking with you today, and it's always a pleasure to hear your insight, your wisdom. And I thank you for joining us today, and I hope you'll join us for future discussions.
Thank you, Katie. And have a blessed Christmas.
Same to you, Sister Barbara.
And to all who have joined us today.
Thank you. And before I go, I'd like to remind you that if you enjoyed today's discussion, please let us know by giving the Hearts Afire podcast a 5-star rating on wherever you listen to your podcast. And we hope that you also enjoyed the second season of the Hearts Afire podcast, and tune in to future episodes when season 3 begins in February. Thank you again for joining us today. And please know that you are in the daily prayers of our sisters and associates. And on behalf of the Sisters of St. Dominic of Bluffett, New York, I would like to wish you a Merry Christmas and a blessed New Year. Have a good one and see you in 2022.